Don Hall. This is at Don Hall Works YouTube channel. And today, for this video, I've come up to Sacramento to the studio of Cathi Newlin. And Cathy's going to tell us a little bit about what she does and how she does it. So say hello, Cathy.
Hi, Cathy.
So Cathy, how did you first become interested in art, and did you have any like formal artistic trainings?
So I have been drawing all of my life, and I've been artistic all of my life since probably before I could spell or read. I had a very encouraging family, so they were always giving me different art supplies to try, and as I got older, it became evident that, you know, I actually was interested in it and had a little bit of talent. When I was a teenager, I made most of my money painting Christmas scenes on windows, which is a thing that used to happen back in the day. And my family's business was one of my main customers. And after that, I became fairly well known for, and I was just drawing. I became pretty well known in Southern California for my punk rock flyers, and had a little bit of a career for a while as an illustrator of punk rock flyers. At some point, I actually did manage to go to college. I went to junior college at Golden West College in Huntington Beach, California, and took art classes there for a couple of semesters. Stumbled upon, I did mainly drawing and printmaking, and I was a very tight artist, doing a lot of pointillism and things like that. One of the requirements was a 3D art class, and I decided on sculpture because I'd gone by the sculpture room and seen everybody working on their alabaster sculptures, and I thought, well, that looks like a lot of fun, working with power tools. But first semester students, I found out, had to work in clay. I didn't like touching clay. I didn't want to work in clay, but I went forward with it and made a piece that I really liked, but I had imagined being glazed, and my sculpture teacher was a little put off by that and told me that if I wanted to glaze my work that I needed to take a ceramics class and not a sculpture class. So I took a ceramics class the next semester and had an amazing instructor whose mantra was, try it and see what happens. And she never gave me a rule. If she gave me a rule, I was encouraged to learn it and then break it. And she lit my fire, and I got over my ickiness of touching clay, and went on to do about another 6 semesters in junior college in ceramics. Then I got married. I found other interests and came back to ceramics about 25 years ago, and in doing so stumbled upon a production potter who was looking for an apprentice, and that kind of solidified me as a ceramic artist. I can't even draw anymore. I don't think in 2 dimensions anymore. I am firmly a 3-dimensional artist who works in clay now, and that's my voice.
Well, now you're making mostly these monsters, right?
So for a long time, my work was very muted. It was very realistic. I was into realism. I had been a zookeeper for a number of years, and animals have always really influenced my work. So I was making very real sculptures of animals, and using a lot of oxides and alternative firing methods. A lot of my work was very political, which is very important to me, but doesn't sell well. So I was kind of going down that path, And then COVID hit. And right before COVID, my husband and I had moved from Portland, Oregon to here in Sacramento. We moved into our house about 2 weeks before lockdown. So I found myself in a new area, and that kind of meant I needed to find a new clay. I needed to, I had sold my gas kiln and just bought my first electric kiln. So I had a new firing technique that I was trying to learn, a new clay body that I was trying to figure out, and just kind of trying to figure a lot of technical things out. And I sort of treated lockdown like a residency opportunity, and decided to just take my new tools and my new materials and go in a completely different direction, and try not to be so literal or so serious about my art. And started working in color, started working with underglazes and bright colors and things out of my imagination that didn't require me to, download a lot of reference material or anything. And out of that came these monsters that I could hang on the wall, that had a sense of humor, but also reflected a little bit of what I felt was humanity, or how humanity was reacting to the pandemic. And so I could put a little cynicism in there and make some slight comments about society. And it turned out that they're really popular, and that's kind of the path I'm on now. What I've learned in the last 3 years of making these monsters is I've learned a lot about color. I've learned a lot about different clay bodies. I've learned sort of how to use an electric kiln, although I still don't know how to program my kiln. And now I'm kind of ready to take all of those things that I've been learning and try to apply them to other works that I want to do that are maybe a little less frivolous and a little less whimsical, but still aren't clubbing people over the head.
I know you use some unique building styles and techniques making your monsters. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Okay. So on a typical monster, and right now I do magnets, I do wall monsters, and I do mugs, cups. And so on a typical piece, you'll see I have claws, I have eyeballs, I'll put feet on them, a little tail, and all of those pieces I use with sprig molds that I create myself. And I usually use a 3D printer. I've got a 3D printer here in the studio, and that allows me to create a variety. I can pretty much design any kind of sprig mold that I want, and I can also change the size of it to fit the size of the piece I'm doing. And they're pretty easy. When I use my sprig molds, it's pretty simple. I'll take a little bit of clay. I typically work with B-mix paper clay and with other B-mix clays. It's nice and strong, and since I single fire, it really holds up to the work that I do with it. It's pretty tough. And I'll fill the little sprig mold and dip it in a little water. And I'm going to put a couple of legs on him, so I just squish it in, and he's got a little leg there. And then I can add the second leg in the same way. And I have a variety of these sprig molds that I make. And again, it's nice because if I want to go a larger scale, it doesn't take me but half an hour to print out a new one that's in a larger scale. Some of the more interesting ones that I've designed are ones for horns, and you'll see you can get pretty detailed and pretty creative in the designs that you can have for horns. And this is kind of a spiral horn. And I don't know if you can see that. And it just gives them a little extra texture there. And I'm just going to go ahead. This is one of the magnets that I make. So I'm just going to finish him up and give him his other horn so he's not lopsided. 3D printers are not terribly expensive anymore. You can buy one for about $200. And in my opinion, they're easier to learn how to use than a Cricut die cutter. So they're definitely worth looking at. So just by adding those little sprigs, I give them a lot of personality without too much effort. So when I want to make a new sprig to use, the first thing I have to do is go to a place on the internet that I use to design it. And I'm not showing you that right now because I don't have a screen for it. But it's just tinkercad.com. After I've designed it and downloaded it to my computer, the next step is to put it into the slicing program, which you see on the screen right there. And that turns it into a format that the 3D printer can read. And these are STL files, and that file format will sound familiar to any of you who have worked with the Cricut die cutter, because it's the same file, it's just used in a different way. Once I have it the way I want it, as far as all the printing parameters, then I hit the button and the printer starts printing. This is a set, it's 3 sets. My sets come in, there's 5 sprigs in a set, and what's printing right now is 3 of those sets. And it basically works if you think of a hot glue gun. And so basically what it's doing is it's extruding something like hot glue in various layers to build up the shape of it. After that's done, it cools down and it comes out kind of looking like a skyline. It's on a little plate of material that has kept it adhered to the bed of the printer. So once that's done and cooled, then I just break those off of the bed, and they're ready to use. A series of 3 sets takes about 3 hours to print. It's not a terribly short process, but it doesn't take all that long. And it's very easy with the program I use to scale them up, scale them down, and change their dimensions a little bit. I will say that there's another video that Don has done where I talk a little bit more about technology in the studio. And if you search for Cathi Newlin on donhallworks.com, his YouTube channel, I think you can probably come up with it.
Can you talk now a little bit about how you market your work?
Yeah. When I first started, like a lot of people new to marketing their ceramics and just kind of getting into that, I did some craft fairs. I found them grueling. I found them kind of not worth the time for me, because if you're a jewelry artist, it's really easy to pack up your stuff, take it to a craft fair. Craft fairs are great because you do get to meet people in person and they get to know you. But for me, it just didn't work. Then I went to Etsy, and I sold my stuff on Etsy for a while. And my problem there with Etsy is that they, and sites like that, is that I was competing with mass-produced items, even though they say they're handmade. A lot of times a handmade mug on Etsy is just somebody who's bought a bunch of mug blanks and then sublimated a design onto it. And it's easy to get lost in the noise of places like that. The whole time I've been sharing my process with my friends on social media. And my two main sources of social media are Facebook and Instagram, because I'm of that age. But I found that when people were following me and people who liked my work were watching me, and they were watching the process, so if I posted, as I was building a piece, not only did they become invested in it, they kind of got an understanding of why art is priced the way it is and why it's not cheaper. They could appreciate the work that went into it. And my goal was to be an artist in a gallery, because I am really bad at shipping. I will postpone it until the last possible moment. So I just didn't want to deal with shipping anymore and with the responsibility of getting stuff out on time. So at this point, I sell almost completely in galleries, and at the moment the galleries that I'm in are the Pence Gallery in Davis and Crocker Art Museum gift store, and occasionally at Alpha Fine Arts. I'm looking for a couple of venues in Southern California, maybe out in the desert. I don't want too many places, because sales are great, but too many sales, too much popularity can A, flood the market, and B, just mean that you're just a production artist and you don't get any time to work on stuff that you want to work on just for yourself, which is equally important.
Well, thanks a lot, Cathy. I think people learned something on that one.
It was fun to do.
Great. Bottoms up.